Hello and welcome, this is Rooflemonger, and in this video today is our tips and tricks guide for Tien. So as always, I'll be covering his moveset, so his specials and his supers. I'll be talking about a general game plan. I also want to talk about some more specific things, like how to pressure people on their wake up, and some unique things like old school style link combos he has. So without any further ado, let's get to it. Now, just to go over his basic moveset. So first off, let's start with the crane strike. That's quarter circle back and an attack button. So that is his knee drop move here. So this can be done on the ground, and he'll jump in the air, or you can just do it in the air raw. If you're familiar with the old Dragon Ball, this is the move Tien uses to break Yamcha's leg. So, in and of itself, the light does a soft knockdown, and this is all overheads by the way, so they have to block it standing. The medium gives a slide out knockdown, and so does the EX. Now the EX does 100 more damage, but honestly, as of this time of making this video, I have no idea what it does besides that. I've tested it several ways, several shapes and forms, and just does 100 more damage, and that doesn't seem worth it. Not to say the move's not worth it, because it is, but just that particular part, I just don't get the point of the EX version. Now, one handy little trick here. So let's go into our character settings, or enemy settings. There we go, guard all. So if they block it, you're still airborne afterwards, which is normally not necessarily the greatest thing, because, you know, if you do this and start mashing attack, they can just down heavy you and all that. But you are allowed to, say, follow up an attack like that, or just backdash and get out of dodge. So you can bait out a potential down heavy and use his angled key blast. That's just a regular key blast button key blast to punish them for it, if you think they're going to be predictable in doing that. And once you train them to not do that, then hey, you can just kind of go regular offense, because you can cross up mid screen after it's blocked. Much the same here for the medium. And for the medium, if you get the hit, then you're rewarded with the sliding out knockdown. So it's handy, but it lets the pressure keep going one way or another. So you can either use it to kind of back off and use key blast pressure, and once they are kind of subdued and not wanting to try to down heavy it every time they see you're in the air, then you can kind of follow up with cross-up pressure and go from there. Now the Dodon Ray. So it's a fairly basic beam. If you have a foe that does Kamehameha or something like that, it does trade with it pretty much. As you see here, they clash evenly, even though in the original Dragon Ball, the whole point of Dodon Ray is it cleanly beats the Kamehameha, but that's just the Tien fanboy in me talking. So, the one difference here, so Kamehameha, as you see here, is a multi-hitting move. A Dodon Ray is a single-hitting move. So, in practice, while you're just tossing them out mid-screen, there's not too much difference, honestly. Like, you can do, much the same stuff that you would off of Kamehameha. But the one use is, and this is his assist move, just so you're aware. So if you call Tien assist, he does it. So the single hit's actually quite useful in two aspects. So one, it's one hit, so you can do longer combos, because combo hit stun decay is based solely off number hits and nothing else as far as I can tell. So Dodon Ray will let you get basically 4 more hits in a combo than a Kamehameha, because the Kamehameha will use up the extra hits. Me personally, my team I'm playing right now, I can get longer combos with Tien than I can with Goku or Goku Black for that specific reason. They are longer and more damaging, because Dodon Ray only uses 1 hit. And since it also pops straight up and makes certain combos, a little bit easier. So, we can go for something like that, and the Dodon Ray assist help pop it up. So, it's pretty useful as an assist, and on its own, it's pretty decent as a beam. It also will angle straight ahead if you use it airborne. And you can also use it as a Tiger Knee motion to kind of get a slight rise. If you time it perfectly, you can get it where it'll still hit a standing foe, and it'll just raise up a little bit higher in the air, so it'll also catch one at the start of a jump. Now for telekinesis, that's quarter circle back and the key blast button. So that calls in Chaozu, and Chaozu paralyzes the foe for a brief moment. Now this is what we call, I guess, the subject to the Deadpool rule if you ever played Marvel vs. Capcom 3. In that every third call of telekinesis will fail.
What's wrong? Freeze! I'm sorry, Tien.
As you can see there. So 1, 2, and the next one will fail. So keep it in mind. So what it does here is no matter where the enemy is on screen, so they could be at the top of the skybox or whatever, when Chaozu's there, he will paralyze them. It's blockable, so it's not unblockable by any stretch. but they will hold them still for a brief moment. Now, if you're full screen, like that's basically the best you're going to get. And if you're even a little bit slow from full screen, that's all you're going to get. You're not even going to get that. But where it has its real use is in the corner. So the timing's a little bit difficult to figure out, but if you can get any kind of sliding knockdown, basically you can cover all kinds of wake-ups with the paralyzation. So we'll go for it. And so we're a bit slow there, but you get the idea. So we'll go for it one more time here. So there we go. We caught him in the air trying to recover. Say they were a bit higher up, tried to dash out, we would still get them. And while they're paralyzed, and this is a little easier in the corner to hit them, while they are paralyzed, we can easily down heavy them and go into a full combo, or if they're paralyzed standing, we can go for a more traditional combo while we're there in the corner. So mid-screen, it has very dubious use, but after any sliding knockdown in the corner, it is a very fantastic pressure tool, because if it hits, that's basically a free combo, and if it doesn't hit, well, they block, and you will recover before them very slightly, so it's still your advantage. So that is the advantage of using the telekinesis move. Now on to the super move. So he only has one level 1, and that's the regular tri-beam. So, and this is the most important part here, so let's just turn off our health recovery. So tri-beam and neo tri-beam, which we'll talk about in a moment, causes permanent health damage. This isn't blue damage, this is not recoverable. So if we were to tag out, that's it. He's not getting that health back. That's permanent damage. Now, initially I was quite disappointed with this, especially on the level 1, because like it only does 2400. That's like, you know, it's decent for level 1 damage, but it's not mind-blowing. But one advantage it does have is it scales very well for minimum damage. So it can't do less than 960, which is more than level 1. Now, if you watch the Chaozu video, and I'll talk about it a bit more, that seems to be a theme with Tien, is his supers do higher minimum damage than just about everyone else. So that's where his advantage lies. Otherwise, Tri-Beam as a level 1 super is kind of ho-hum, honestly. It's not amazing. If you're outside of the corner, it can actually be quite difficult to angle if you do an air knockdown. You're going to really have to practice timing, because I don't have it down pat myself by any stretch of the matter. But it's a good damaging level 1, and very good for team tag supers. As such a high minimum scaling, it's going to really pack a punch at the end of a combo. Now, next up, let's talk Farewell Tien. So that is the Chaozu self-destruct attack. So I actually made a whole video about this, so long story short, just as we talked about Tri-Beam, has incredibly high minimum scaling, and in fact, to my knowledge, it has the highest minimum scaling of a single level 3 in the game. It actually will do more damage than a level 4 Tri-Beam, which we'll talk about in a second here. So it's generally the preferred ender. Now the one thing to note here, so it's very good and also hits the foe anywhere. So say the foe is high up in the air, Chaozu will appear wherever they are. So it can be at the top of the screen, doesn't matter. Chaozu will go wherever the opponent is. So it makes it quite useful as a homing trick. Now, that said, once you use Chaozu, you can no longer use the telekinesis move, as Chaozu's sadly no longer with us to be able to pull the move off. So if you're using Tien as an anchor, say as I do, make sure you're ready to give up that post-knockdown options, because once Chaozu says goodbye, so does this move. Now for the big boy finisher, that's Neo Tri-Beam. So Neo Tri-Beam basically tracks anyone on the screen wherever the foe is. Tien is fully off screen when this happens. His character model is nowhere to be found on the screen, and the Tri-Beams will just appear above the enemy's heads while it's happening. So as for, just like the regular Tri-Beam, it does permanent damage, not blue recoverable damage. As I'm sure you've probably seen now, he can burn an additional bar past the first one, 3 for the starter, to keep going afterwards.
Never escape my third eye.
So you see here, if you go for all of it, the health loss is very big. So you generally want to use this to end a fight, not to just do it willy-nilly. So with this, we can turn even the most basic combos into devastating finishers if we have the right amount of bar. So that was just a launch into auto combo, and that's still, what do we got here, like 70%? Versus something a little more optimized. I'm not saying this is necessarily the most optimized combo by any stretch, but now all of a sudden, you know, this is really gonna sting. That's 90%, right? Just so you know, each successive follow-up past the first one, the minimum scaling for each one is 550, so you will get some decent damage per extra bar, but make sure if you're going to commit, this is your finisher, because the health price to pay is way too big for it not to be. Now for the volleyball fist, I'm going to give this a zone section because this move has a lot of nuance, and some of it I only learned recently myself. So it's quarter circle forward, one of your attack buttons. So light punch is a bit of a slide here, and it is a true low. You got to block that low. The medium, it's a bit of a pose, and you can see here. Then he goes for slide, and the EX is a command grab. So this is a true throw. So keep that in mind there. So you cannot block this. You just got to be not in the way, because that is a command grab. Now the differences are as such. So the light is just a low, and I'll go into a little more detail what it can do afterwards. The medium, that little stance he takes there, is what we call guard point, but effectively armored. So what I mean by that is this. So we can just go through stuff and get our hit. And that's not just basic key blast, so something a little more advanced, like the Frieza projectile there, which we'll try one more time. There we go. See, we can just go through that clear as day, just the same. So anything short of, like, you know, level 3s or something, he can take that stance and he'll go through it for free, basically, because he is armored, just like an Android 16 would be. Now, we have follow-up, so we can launch the foe afterwards. Now, what button you press actually matters, so this is what I was not aware of till recently myself. So, after the initial follow-up, and it can be medium light, doesn't matter which, next you'll hit medium light, and they both do different things. So, we'll use the light as our base here. So, if we do light, then light, it'll keep us the same side we were on. If we do light, then medium, we will now switch sides. And if we do light, then EX, well, we'll talk about that in a second. It's a little different as well. So, but once again here, so light, light, same side. Light, medium, different sides. And much the same here with the medium. So medium, light, same side. Medium, medium, switch sides. Now, for your follow-up in the air. So, your ending follow-up, if it's in the air, if you hit light, it's a spike straight downwards. If you hit medium, it's a spike at a very slight angle, down forwards. And if you hit EX, it's a big spike with the sliding knockdown downwards. Now, I didn't mention here about the EX launcher, so what that does is you don't get a spike anymore. We can now just do regular old air combos, as you can see there. So I don't have anything optimized at all for that, but just so you get the idea. And also watch that timing, because you absolutely can miss. But yeah, for that you can just do your regular air moves now. Now there's another faction, or another aspect to this, that right there when you see that little flash, that's just frames. So what we mean by that is, right now we did 1970, right? So, but now we're gonna hit our button timing during that flash. And then instead we did 2096. So it's basically just a little damage buff. So if you can get the proper timing, you will do more damage with it. Volleyball Fist is definitely one of his more dynamic moves, and it's actually a pretty good part of his moveset, because from any character, if you're about roughly this close, if you're both going to stay grounded, you really got to watch the feet, because he can do pretty much anything he wants, you know, and if he's your last character, it's a very valid starter to go into your Sparking Blast, and to, you know, potentially a very damaging combo.
Never escape my third eye.
Now, one thing I want to talk about is a classic Street Fighter style Link. And so what I mean by that is a manual timing combo, so you don't just go chain everything and everything. Now, more people than him probably have it, almost certainly, but I just know it for him specifically, and it's really handy as a pressure tool. So that is simply jab, jab. So right there I did it much too fast, so that starts the auto combo chain. So you really got to find the timing for it. There we go. So see, 2 hits. So what the value is on that is when the enemy is blocking. So basically you are at advantage and you're trying to catch them hitting a button or just otherwise trying to do something to get out of this pressure. And as soon as you catch them, you can kind of just convert into whatever combo. It's just a neat little trick. It's maybe not the biggest deal in the world, but traditional links are seemingly quite rare in this game, And the fact that he has one at all, it's just good for pressure because it's basically a built-in frame trap that combos into itself once you get the timing. Now onto some more generalized gameplay concepts here. So Tien, if you want to rush in, Tien, there's very little stopping him as you can basically volleyball fist in for free. The only question is, whether or not the foe is going to be airborne, and the game being what it is, they're almost certainly going to be an airborne for a decent amount of time. But he can still play around with that a lot. He can basically convert anytime he gets that combo in. It maybe necessarily won't be a lot of damage unless you're willing to burn your Sparking Blast or some decent amount of bar, but that's always something. And also, his stand heavy, I think, is one of the better ones in the game, simply because this is, your starting position, right? And it does hit from the starting position, and not only that, even if we go a step further back, it still connects. So it's got some decent range to it. Not the most in the game, but it is more than most of the characters, it would seem, as some characters simply can't reach that far. But as for your general back and forth, the odd Dodon Ray is not a bad idea, but do not get reliable looking forward to it, because it is not a valid gameplay stance in and of itself, as it's fairly slow, and the damage isn't going to discourage too many people from making any risks, because the reward for, instant air dashing over it into a combo is way bigger than the risk of just taking the hit. But that said, one of the main game plans is just do whatever combo you can. You want to be fishing for that sliding knockdown into the Chaozu call. And so once again, I mentioned earlier about how make sure you get that timing right, because I did get the timing just wrong there, just by a split second. But yeah, there we go. So see, if the foe hits a button, then great, we got our Chaozu paralyzation in, and we get a free combo. And if not, they got a block, and it's still basically our turn, as it were. We still have the advantage. So getting that sliding knockdown into calling Chaozu's paralyzation is a very big deal, and you got to really think about that. Now, as I mentioned before, Farewell Tien is basically the best level 3 finisher in the game. So if, say, you don't have a team to rely on for whatever reason, in and of itself, it's effectively in the middle of a combo the single most damaging level 3 in the game, because it has the best minimum scaling of any level 3 in the game. So it's a fantastic finisher, but make sure it is a finisher. So, because once you do it, you will no longer have access to the telekinesis move. But say if your Tien's your last guy, they have 2 characters ahead of you, that's definitely a for sure way to finish off a foe, because Neo Tri-Beam, also a great finisher, but you gotta watch that health, because you do not have the health to play around with. Unlike Farewell Tien, which costs you no health, it just costs you use of 1 move. But once again, keep in mind too, just really want to help hone in on the point. Watch out, because every third one is a dud, so you're going to look quite the fool and potentially get smacked in the mouth. If you're in the corner and you call the dud and they're going to get out for free, you really got to look out for that. As for a general, more infighting approach, the buttons you definitely want to be using are your jab, and use that jab pressure, which I mentioned earlier in the video, or a stand medium. As the stand medium, while it's certainly not the most ranged stand medium in the game, it does got a decent amount of range. It can hit the enemy from a decent far away range. So as you can see here, that's respectable. Certainly not best in class, but better than some characters get. And from there, you can just kind of combo out. And if you are closer, keep in mind too, if you're a little further out, you're going to get standard like medium, medium, heavy. But if you are a bit closer, you can toss a Ki Blast in there and still get your heavy and get just a smidge more damage. And so that concludes our video guide for Tien tips and tricks. So overall, in my personal opinion, I find Tien as best as your anchor on the team. That is the last character. Due to his finishing potential with Goodbye Tien and the Neo Tri-Beam, I find generally he's just one of the better finishers. You can definitely make a lot of use of bar that a little bit better than some other characters, and just stuff like without spending even a lick of bar, his general combo damage is slightly higher than some of the other characters. So that's 4,250, and for no bar, it's a bit higher than some of the other characters. Not a lot, but just a little bit. So his meterless damage is pretty good as well. He has fantastic wake-up pressure with the telekinesis from Chaozu, and all around, he's just a good closer, in my opinion. Some people might want to run him up front, and by all means, go for it. That's just my opinion. But big fan of Tien as a character, so I'm actually super happy how he works in this game. It's not amazing, but I do find the jump Ki Blast just decent little harassment, because it does move him backwards ever so slightly, as you can see here. So it just kind of helps keep your spacing. If you're not sure what to do, it's not the worst thing in the world just to toss out. But yeah, I guess I'm just rambling a little bit right now. But I guess that's everything for now. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this video found you well. Go out and play some Dragon Ball.